Welcome to episode 48 of the Just Happy to Be Here podcast. It's me, Tanner, and as always, I'm just happy to be here. Thank you for listening to our podcast. This episode, it might be my favorite episode that we have recorded to date. I don't know why, but I loved talking with Taylor through all the different things. I hope that you enjoy it. But before we jump into the episode, we really just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening and supporting our podcast. We love getting to record these conversations for as strange and weird and all over the place as they may be. And we love sharing them with you. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your kind messages and your feedback. Thank you for sharing the podcast with your friends. It truly does mean a lot. We appreciate y'all greatly. All right. I'm done saying thank you. We're going to jump into this episode. Here is a nice little transition. And here is episode 48 of the Just Happy to Be Here podcast. I had a dream last night. Matthew McConaughey was in it. He had, but I remember in the dream, it was like a super crowded room. Yeah. People were everywhere, and I walked up to him. I shook his hand, and I did one of those grandpa handshakes, where you shake the hand and you also kind of pull the person closer because you want to tell them something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so I pulled him closer and I whispered in his ear, I've got a couple movies of yours that I'm saving to watch. Which is a very strange thing.
Yeah.
But I woke up when I did that, because I woke up and I was like, that was a weird thing to do. Like, even in a dream, that was a weird thing to do. But then I was like, well, you're not lying. You still haven't watched Interstellar. So there it is. He's an Interstellar, right? I'm not making that up.
Yeah. No,
okay.
You nailed it.
Because that's one of the movies that I'm like, I still haven't seen that. I need to see that so that you and I can have our movies set in space draft that we still haven't had.
That will happen. Yeah, our part 2 to an episode that's now like 2 months old.
Yeah. But I don't think there's anybody at home that's like keeping score or on the edge of their seat being like, I wonder if this is the episode where they do the space draft.
I don't know. I don't know, because like here's the thing.
Tell me the thing.
It's all about building anticipation.
That's true.
If somebody's been hanging on to that draft, they're like, they might be asking. We might have a few. Who knows? We might have a few people asking, "Is this the one?" And
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. It's not.
It's not. Episode 48 of the Just Happy to Be Here podcast. Not the space movie draft. But one day, it's coming. Speaking of space movie drafts, I feel like I talk about it all the time, but the trailer was released for the upcoming Space Jam 2 movie.
Yes, it was.
And I believe you and I were texting about this, and you basically just asked, what are your thoughts on it? Your question was, how are you feeling? Which is it's a great question to ask me when it comes to something so near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, I mean, this means a lot. This means a lot to you. I knew what to ask.
This is a huge part of not only my life, but I would say the podcast as well. Once again, building suspense. But I watched the trailer a handful of times, and if you haven't seen the trailer, you could just Google it. Space Jam 2.
It's on YouTube, trailer, which is still free. It's still
very popular website, especially made very popular by the youths. But I watched the trailer a few times, and I knew it was going to be different. Yep. I knew it was going to be a little bit out there. It has to be. You can't make the same movie twice. I mean, You can. It's called the Land Before Time series. But
what are they on, 26 now?
I think I wonder if they're still working with dinosaurs here.
Yeah.
But anyways, the movie looks a little bit different from the first one, as it should. LeBron is starring in it, which I'm excited about. I don't care what your feelings are about LeBron James. I'm excited. He's the right pick for it.
Yeah.
There was a scene in the trailer where he was a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And my only concern, you're allowed to have concerns.
Absolutely.
My only concern is that there's too much cartoon.
Too much cartoon.
Now I understand his sidekicks in this movie, like the supporting cast, is all cartoons.
All of them.
But I don't need LeBron to be a cartoon.
Yeah.
I want LeBron to be LeBron. I want to be a human being surrounded by green screens.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I want. So anyways,
yeah.
I'm excited for it. We'll see what happens. The day is coming closer. I believe it's July 16th, so I'll be watching. I'm going to live stream myself watching the movie.
Oh,
is that against the copyright? That's probably against copyright.
You probably
I'll
can.
do it.
You can live stream yourself. You just probably can't put the stuff on there.
Tanner's reaction video, shot by shot, of the Space Jam 2 movie.
Oh, man.
Speaking of space...
Yeah,
go
speaking of
ahead.
space. Oh, I was
going to say... Oh, we're doing the thing where you go.
Oh, man.
And then I go.
Yeah, we're there. Okay, I'm going to go. Just one more thing on this. How do you feel about the internet spin? Because obviously the first one's supposedly set in space, or some kind of alternate dimension beneath a golf course. This one, welcome to the 21st century. We've got a great choice in Don Cheadle as the villain. Amazing choice. But what do you think about the internet spin on this one?
I like it. At first, I didn't. Because you kind of want there to be... Don Cheadle is he is the villain. But you kind of... In my mind, I wanted it to be like a person. Yeah. Right? Or like a place. And so to spoil the trailer for you, LeBron's son basically gets... it appears that he gets lost in the internet and he has to win a basketball game, just like in the first one, to get his son back. Yeah. And I like it. I didn't see it coming, but it makes sense. I mean, you know, and especially if your audience, and your audience for this should be children. It's a kids movie. Mm-hmm. Like they grew up on the internet. Like they know it's gonna connect with them. Where you and I, Space Jam with Michael Jordan makes sense because it's, first of all, based on a real story, obviously. But it's you know, the main point of that was like the cartoon thread throughout all of it. Whereas in this one, with there being the internet, we're like, oh yeah, the internet. We love the internet. I do. Yeah. I live on the internet as well. It's crazy. This is wild. So I like it for that reason, and I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic, as I am about most things in my life, which means I'm a dangerous person. But I you know what? And I guess here's the thing: if it's bad, all right.
Right. Who cares?
And if it's good, great.
Awesome.
What I'm really looking for is about 90 minutes to kill watching something that I truly enjoy. Yeah. Or like find some sort of joy in. So anyways, sure. This is now a Space Jam deep dive podcast.
Yeah. It is.
Actually,
I would love
that. I would love that. A couple of things, Taylor.
Yeah.
You and I were both gone last week, and we were in two of what I would say are the strangest states. Two of the few. I was in Florida. You were in Texas. Mm-hmm. One question for you.
Yep.
And you have to ask me one question about Florida, okay?
Fantastic.
My question for you, because you were in Texas, did you have any queso?
I am sorry. I am so sorry to say that this was a queso-less trip to Texas.
Wow.
Yeah. And which is someone asked, isn't that just a big waste of your time? And in normal circumstances, I would say yes, but I celebrated my cousin getting married, which was great. So, queso-less, but for a good reason, for a good cause.
Interesting. Yeah, well, you know, sometimes you have to make sacrifices. And that's a huge sacrifice, although it's also like, hey, you're really taking care of yourself these days. I applaud that.
Well, I for 5 days maybe without queso. I didn't talk about the Oreo that I took apart and put a Reese's in the middle. Didn't talk about that, but that happened.
You did?
Yes, I did.
That sounds great. Now, here's my follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
What if you added a little, like, crispy piece of bacon in there?
Whoa.
Would that be bad? Or would that be perfect? I don't know. Actually, I do know. I want to try it. And actually, I have all the ingredients in my house currently, and I'm doing that after this.
Done and done. Text me how it is.
Oh, I will. I can text you right now and tell you it's fantastic. Like, I just know the answer.
Already know.
This is a test I don't need to study for.
Yeah.
I got the answer key written in my heart.
Yeah. But I do want to experience it.
My slowly artery blocked heart. That's what I got.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Tanner,
I'm glad you had a good Texas trip.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Talk to me about your Florida trip.
It's good. It's good. We'll talk more about it when we get to what did you recently Google? Because that is coming up.
That's
and in the podcast biz,
that's quite the teaser.
That's what we call it. We call it a teaser. Today is what is today? Today is Thursday, April 15th. Tomorrow's a big day for all of us, mostly just you. Happy 30th birthday, my friend.
Oh man, thanks.
We have a time at the end of the show when you can give a award speech for making it for 30 years of your life. But the time is not right now. Not right now. But
that's another teaser.
Tomorrow's April 16th. Today's April 15th, and there's 4 national things that we need to cover. Truthfully, we don't. But
no,
I'm a routine person, and this is what we do on the podcast.
Yes, it is.
Today is National Banana Day.
I had a banana before this podcast, before we started.
It's a great way to celebrate.
Perfect.
Get your potassium in.
Amen.
National Banana Day. National Glazed Spiral Ham Day.
Okay.
National Rubber Eraser Day.
Sure.
And National High Five Day.
Taylor gave some high fives.
Gave some high fives. I big fan of the high five.
Yeah.
Hard to do it now that we have to be 6 feet apart. Anyways, let's talk about one of these. Which one? It's your birthday tomorrow. This is my gift to you. You get to choose which one of these 4 things: banana, glazed spiral ham, rubber eraser, or high five.
Let's get into the spiral ham.
I think that's a solid choice.
What makes ham a spiral?
I don't know what part. I don't know what part of the body of the pig is the spiral.
Yeah.
Like, where's that located?
Is that naturally occurring, or is the spiral made?
Where's the cut? What do you do? I don't understand. I also don't, when it comes to cuts of meat on any animal, I don't understand it. I don't know. I know that butchers are artists, so maybe we can get a butcher on here to talk about it. Actually, I'm going to retract that. That's never going to happen. But it'd be an interesting conversation. But if you Google types of spiral ham, there's more than just glazed.
Really?
So I don't know what other days we can celebrate, like the salted caramel spiral sliced smoked ham, the brown sugar spiral sliced ham. They're all mouthfuls, which I guess they just want to make your mouth water a little bit before you go for it. But where would you rank ham in a holiday meats ranking? Where would you put it?
That's a good question.
Is it the top? Is it the bottom?
I would put ham for me closer to the top. I'm not giving it the top spot because like a really nice, well executed turkey, like a good smoked turkey, that's really hard for me to vote against. But I'd put ham up there, maybe top 3.
Ooh, top 3. I like that. I like that. This might be good for us to debate. And we probably talked about this during Thanksgiving. I've never gotten excited about turkey. Never once have I been like, and someone told me they're like, you just never had good turkey before. And that's not true. I've had good turkey. I've had great turkey. And I've always been like, I'm missing something. I'm missing something when it comes to the turkey. It's just merp, No, I guess you don't know because you like it. Anyways, I get more excited about ham. And I have a good friend, and he's told me one time, he goes, ham is the worst meat. And I don't know if that's true.
That's not.
I
I
don't
know.
know if that's
I know. I do know. It's not true. It's not
true.
Like when you just leave it to meat, there's a lot of things on the table that you are not considering. Like that snake meat is a thing, for instance. There's no way. There's no way your snake meat's beating my ham.
That's exactly right.
Not one
exactly
time.
Right. Mm-hmm. I'm not eating swan. Mm-hmm.
No. Goodness,
nope.
no.
Well,
Heavens, no.
Also, the fact that somebody, and I don't know who this person was, genius probably. they're looking at a ham and they're like, you know what we need to do? We need to glaze it. That's what we.
Like a donut.
What this ham is missing. Yep. You know what we need to add to this? Glaze. And nobody's saying no. Nobody's like, that's a terrible idea. Yeah, we need to rub some sugar on top of this ham. That's exactly what we need to do. Anyways, this is now a Space Jam and ham.
Oh man,
podcast.
Taylor, Space Ham.
Space ham.
Oh man, it's such low hanging fruit, but I still had to say it.
Oh, you gotta take a bite. It's just right there. Taylor, happy birthday. Happy almost birthday.
Man, thank you.
In honor of your almost birthday.
Yeah.
What did you recently Google?
Yeah, in honor. So recently my wife got an order in of essential oils. Do you know essential oils, Tanner?
Are you going to try to sell essential oils to me while recording a podcast?
Actually, this whole podcast, me joining the podcast in the first place, was to get to this moment where I tried to sell you into my multi-level marketing plan.
This is a scam. This is a big scam. I feel trapped.
You should.
Bamboozled.
It's a trap. The whole thing's a trap. No, I'm not. I'm not trying to be out here selling anybody any essential oil. But my wife is a big essential oilist. She does not sell either, but she does it. She throws it in diffusers. She sometimes rubs it on the back of my ears, which is very confusing. There have been times where I complained about an upset tummy, and then all of a sudden there is thieves' oil in my mouth, and I'm like, how did this even get here? But among the oils that my wife ordered this time is thieves' oil, and they got me thinking, why is it called that? Thieves are, I think, kind of universally identified as unkind. Why name an oil after people who are taking stuff from other folks? And so then I Googled that because I had to know. And apparently, Tanner, and I'm going to just read this for you.
I would love it.
Its name was inspired by the legend of 4 French thieves in the 15th century who wore a special blend of rosemary, clove, and other botanicals. This is where it gets a little dark. While they robbed the dead and the dying. Wow. Yeah. So the story goes, when the thieves were caught, they were offered a lesser punishment if they would divulge to the king of France, the secret to their immunity despite being exposed to a highly infectious, deadly disease. So there you go.
It's a scam.
Yeah, they were... It's amazing that the pyramid scheme of essential oils is built on the cornerstone of thieves' oil, which started with a scam. It's named after a scam.
I think that we found a Halloween costume, though, for ourselves this year. I'm dressing up, and I'm going to wear a special blend of rosemary, clove, and other botanicals.
No, I really am wearing it. Can I have some candy, please?
What do you think smells better? This little get up here, rosemary, clove, and other botanicals.
Yeah.
Or Axe body spray. What are you picking?
I'm gonna give the edge to Axe Phoenix.
Was that the blue can?
Oh yeah, can. You know it was.
Yeah. I had that one for sure. Yeah. Well, that's fascinating. Maybe it's not a scam. However, while you were sharing that, I definitely Googled essential oil scam just to see. Yeah. And it says this: currently, there's no evidence-backed research showing any illnesses that can be cured through the use of essential oils or the practice of aromatherapy. So, not saying it's not a scam, but we've been talking about Space Jam, Spiraled Ham, and so we need to rhyme something else with it. And the only word that came to mind was scam.
Yeah.
So
oil scam.
Oil scam.
Space Jam, Spiral Ham, oil
scam. That's a great name for a podcast episode.
That's
fascinating. I have thought about dabbling in a healthy way with the essential oils. We've looked into it. But that's crazy. Just like put it on the back of your ear. Is it like the peppermint flavor one? I hear great things about peppermint.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. And this is going to briefly sound like I'm trying to get somebody to buy some essential oils, but I explicitly said I was not going to do that earlier. This is just me speaking from my own experience. You'll notice I have not brought up a brand, Young Living. Now I've brought up a brand. If they want to pay me, they can. That was for free.
Not a sponsor of the podcast.
Not a sponsor of the podcast.
However, glazed spiral ham is.
One of our longest standing sponsors, and we couldn't be more appreciative. I will say this for essential oils. I get really bad seasonal allergies in the fall, and peppermint oil helped me breathe. That was great. Which
is important.
Breathing's super important. I don't know if you guys have tried it before. Really important stuff. Second, I've tried an oil called Digize, which is for when your tummy is wanting the stuff inside of it to be on the outside of it.
Glazed spiral ham.
Like too much glazed spiral ham. And that I actually felt better after that. So, you know, was it a placebo effect? Who's to say? Hey, that's all I can say for it, though.
You know what? Even if it is a placebo effect, isn't it worth it? To feel better. It's worth it to feel better. Yeah. Speaking of things that don't make people feel better, actually, they might make you feel better. While I was in Florida, I thought, you know what I should do? I should write a poem about Florida Man. You know all the Florida Man stories, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And so I started writing a poem titled Florida Man Stories.
I love it.
And so that's what I Googled. I just said I wanted to Google Florida Man Stories so I could put them together, compile it, and create something quite odd and ridiculous.
Yes.
There are so many different stories that popped up. I was on so many different websites. Google cannot get a hold of me right now. They're just like, this guy's all over the place. But one of my favorite stories, and we've probably talked about this on some past episode, is the Florida man who threw an alligator through the drive-through window at a Wendy's.
Yes. Oh, I love this story.
It's just like the peak of all the other stories. Now, the other stories that I came across were great. There was some guy who beat up the Easter Bunny. Somebody stole 36,000 pounds of Crisco. Somebody claimed that Jesus told him to drive his Ferrari off of a dock and into the water. It's just if you danced on a police car in order to escape vampires. There's just so many different stories. So I'm working on this poem, which, I'll be honest, it's going to be a huge hit.
Oh, yes.
Can you sense the sarcasm? But I spent probably 2 or 3 hours today just surfing random websites to gather information about Florida Man. Because I'm thinking about, okay, one day in the future, I'll be able to go back on tour. I'll be able to visit schools and churches and organizations and all those things.
Yeah.
And I want to tell them that I'm from Florida, and then I want to say, hey, you want to hear a poem about Florida Man?
Yes.
And then we just get into it.
Just get all up into it.
So that's what I Googled. It was a big day for me, as you can tell.
Yeah.
I'm quite exhausted. Would love to wash this web surfing down with a nice glazed spiral ham.
Ooh, yeah. Oh man.
Or something like that.
Or
I don't
something.
know.
Oh man, to wash something down with a glazed spiral ham would be quite the feat.
Well, you know what I'm doing after this? We talked about this at the very beginning of the podcast. I'm getting an Oreo. I'm putting I'm putting a Reese's in the middle of it, and I'm adding a little bit of bacon. And we're gonna figure it out, man. I think it's gonna be the next thing that people eat on their birthdays. Which, speaking of birthdays,
What a segue. Oh man.
Taylor, I would like to, over the air, present to you an award.
Wow.
We're expecting a speech. An award for making it 30 years. It's a huge accomplishment. So picture this in my head. It's a huge trophy. I'm handing it to you.
I see it.
What do you have to say?
Well, first of all, I got to say, excellent job on this trophy. It's beautiful. It's very real, and the handiwork is just top notch. But 30 years, wow, that's 3 times 10, and here we are. There are some times when I didn't really know if I would get there. If 30 felt like this kind of distant precipice. And now we're here. And here we are. Thank you.
If I had the sound clip where we could insert people clapping, that's where it would go. Well, tonight is for you. The podcast will probably come out on your birthday.
Yeah.
Tonight for you is the last chance that you can eat whatever you want, because something happens the moment that you turn 30 years old. I mean, if you thought it was downhill, it gets even more downhill.
Oh yes,
it's the downest hills of all of them. Until you get turned 40, and then you're somehow over the hill, which is, I don't know, it's strange how it all works. The road map of life. So man, I hope that you find a spiral ham or a space ham and can enjoy that. But yeah,
man, thank you.
Well,
I it's gonna be a thing. It will be a thing. Yeah, I have heard about that 30-year-old metabolism though. I'm excited to get there.
Oh yeah, you're ready for that? It's gone.
No.
There's no more.
It just leaves. There is no more metabolism.
It just kind of packs everything up and is like, well, I'm done here. My work here is done. This person's now going to suffer and look terrible when jumping into a swimming pool. Anyways, well, hey man, I'm just happy to be here, mostly because I get to talk to you, because it's been a little bit. We had a little pod hiatus. We both got to take trips at the same time, which worked out.
Yes.
Quite well, I would say, for the podcast.
It's almost like we planned it.
Yeah. But before we go, I think it's important for us to note that you can find essential oils at writtentospeak.com for all your essential oil needs. Just go ahead, head on over there. You can get some peppermint, some cloves, some spiral ham. It's a new scent fragrance that we just came out with, so it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge,
massive.
Yeah. Although Taylor, before we do sign off for today, I feel like I kind of feel like I want to touch on this a little bit, and I don't necessarily know how to.
Yeah.
But our country's again in all ways is, but it just seems to ramp up time and time again. I don't know if you watched the news or were on Twitter recently, but another black man was killed by a police officer, and I don't know all the details, but I'm getting tired of seeing all this violence and these headlines, and I don't know. Maybe not. This podcast isn't the right place for us to talk about it, but I know I don't have all the right words because I'm fumbling already, but I know to begin to have these conversations again and again, to recognize that things aren't right and to continue to recognize our need for a Savior, but also to try to look for ways that we can help and that we can love and that we can serve in the places that we're in right now. I don't know. It's just, I don't know what change needs to be made, but like something's got to change. And I wanted to mention that because I don't want to take this podcast for granted and not talk about things that I think that we also need to talk about. For as much as I want to talk about Spiral Hams and Space Jam,
Right.
Like it's sad to know that somebody else is dead and they shouldn't be.
Yeah, man. And I think I lean into, in times like this, the words of Paul, who talks about the earth crying out, having been subjected to futility in the sinfulness that was brought in by Adam and Eve. And just as you said, let times like these point us back to the fact that we do have a Savior. And let these times too point us to the fact that we were all created in the image of God, have value that is absolutely irrevocable, based on the fact that we're created in this Creator's image, and allow those things, the fact that we are all subjected to sin, in need of a Savior, and in need of grace. Let those be great equalizers so that we, regardless of people's backgrounds, people's situations, that can bring us to the table, to lovingly continue to point each other to and especially as believers, we have to be pointing people to the gospel in situations like this, and be able to love people with as much understanding as is afforded to us. Fortunately, we've got the Holy Spirit, we've got the Word of God, we've got the gospel, and let this cause us to lean into difficulty, but pointing to, man, I have this hope.
And to live that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's just, it's sad, and I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it's like to be a black person in America, and my heart just continues to break time and time again. And it is the hope of heaven is loud, and I'm thankful for that. But I'm tired of getting on Twitter. First of all, I'm tired of getting on Twitter because it just sucks my soul. But every time I get on, it's something else has happened, or a new video is released, or there's just more pain, and you hate to see there to be pain. You hate to see there to be pain.
Yeah.
So anyways, sorry I just kind of sprung that on you. That wasn't in our notes at all, but I thought maybe just talking about it for a minute, maybe we'll help other people have conversations about it as well, and to continue to lift people up in prayer. And although we are just happy to be here, I know that our lives are a lot easier compared to others, and I wish that wasn't the case. I wish all of us could just be happy to be here, and not have to worry or wonder what's going to happen when I drive my car or when I leave my house. So, yeah. Well,
yeah, man.
Thanks for letting me talk with you about that and to spring it on you. Yeah. All right, man. Well, this was episode 48 of the Just Happy to Be Here podcast.
Yeah. Crazy.
Whew. Crazy. We're almost to 50. We have to have a huge episode for 50.
Something's got to happen.
We're probably going to do a space draft. Spoiler alert.
Or
they won't.
Many, many weeks after that.
Hey, man, it's always good talking to you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on this podcast with me, because it's also your podcast. Anyways,
Well, so good, man.
I'm Tanner. I'm just
Taylor.
happy to be here.
Oh.
Oof.
Oh.
Ooh. I'm interrupting you. Hey, we started the podcast by interrupting each other. We might as well end the podcast by doing the same thing.
It's just consistency, really, at this point.
It's just got to be consistent. I think the way that this episode's going to finish is I'm just going to keep talking, and eventually it's just going to fade into silence because nobody really needs to hear me talking for this long, especially on your 30th birthday. Happy birthday, Taylor. I'm going to go eat some spiral ham in your honor.
Oh, man. Thank you. That's the best way you could celebrate me, really.
Again, thank you for listening to this episode of the Just Happy to Be Here podcast. Before you go, make sure you hit the subscribe button or whatever button is there to follow along with future episodes of the podcast, because we are far from done for making episodes. Special thanks to my patrons for making this podcast possible. If you would like to support this podcast and the mission of Written to Speak, you can visit patreon.com/writtentospeak, or you can visit the Patreon tab at writtentospeak.com. And while you're at writtentospeak.com, which is my website, there's also a store there. I don't know if you knew this, but there's one there. It's stickers, books, journals. There's a shirt in there, a koozie. That's right, a koozie. I got koozies. But while you're there, you can use the code podcast20 to get 20% off your order because you're a podcast listener. So use code podcast20 to get 20% off your order. And that's it. Those are all the announcements. I'm done. I'm going to fade myself out into black. The nice, beautiful silence. Have a great day, and we'll see you all again soon. Peace.